Now getting to Ballerina. Ballerina is a movie that I honestly was a lot less excited about and a lot less interested in. The trailers weren't that interesting to me. Granted, after I saw one or two trailers, I really stopped trying to pay attention to the trailers because once again, similar to Sinners, I wanted to go into the movie pretty blind and just be seated for whatever the filmmakers had in store for me. And I have to say, out of all the movies I've seen this year, Ballerina is one of the more pleasant surprises. And it is a roller coaster of a ride of an action movie, which is what made it really the core inspiration for this episode of the podcast. But once again, the parts they needed to nail, they exceeded my expectations quite drastically with some of the action. Some of the connections to the greater John Wick universe and how this movie plays a role in the greater idea of John Wick. I think there's a lot of bumpy execution with that. But in terms of going to the movies and wanting to see an action movie, especially where in June, it's the onset of the summer, it's summer blockbuster season. This was a good start to summer blockbuster season. Between Mission Impossible and Ballerina, you have two action movies that I like similarly, but for different reasons. If I had to recommend somebody to stop this podcast and just go see one of them, I would say Ballerina over Mission Impossible, even if you're a big Mission Impossible fan. And once again, I'll get into more of the details of that once we get into the spoiler section of the episode. But overall, sometimes you just need a fun time at the movies. And I think Ballerina and Mission Impossible nail that. Similar to Mission Impossible, got to make sure to include the Letterboxd review for Ballerina. This one's a little bit fresher in my mind because I just watched this on June 4th, recording this on June 9th, and realistically, I really wanted to record it same night. One day we'll get to the point where I'm coming home straight from the movies and recording, but this is not my full-time job yet. I gotta get some rest because I gotta go to work in the morning. I gotta go to work in the morning tonight, but it's early enough to where I have the energy to bring y'all great content. Once again, make sure y'all like, subscribe, follow at Banquet Hall Pod. But let's get into my Letterboxd review of Ballerina. One that, quite frankly, I did spend a little bit more time on than I usually do with these reviews, just because this movie had me feeling a lot of different things related to my overall assessment of the movie. I'll just say the actual star review, I'll have it on the actual video of the podcast. But for Mission Impossible on Letterboxd, I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. And for Ballerina, my 4-star review of it, I need Eve in Mortal Kombat. At its peaks, Ballerina has some of the best action sequences and holy shit moments that make it undeniable as a great action movie. If you can see it in Dolby, please run and do so because the sound of this movie felt amazing. The threads connecting it all together, interesting enough to hold you over to the next action, but overall it takes me out of the movie each time. Luckily though, the action is great enough to lure back in. I do wish that John Wick wasn't in the trailer and that they just let Eve cook in her own movie, but I get it. I just found myself being distracted from her story and wishing I had more John Wick action. Overall, when the action delivers like it does in this, I'm willing to overlook a lot. I had a blast and I hope you do too with the crowd.